secreted. You see, the word secret comes from secretion, because this secretion is a secret. And the sacrum is the sacred part of the secret. As the secretion pours down the spinal cord and reaches the sacrum, this is the marvellous way in which our body has been designed. And the spinal cord is basically just an extension of the brain. It also does thinking. And you see, the holy claustrum is otherwise known as the Santa Claustrum. You see, because this fluid that goes down to the sacred plexus is a sacred fluid. And this is where the story of Santa Claus bringing presents down the chimney comes from. It's a story of physiology. And the Bible is a beautiful manual of physiological regeneration. What happens with this fluid is that every month when the moon is in the sign where your sun was when you were born, every month there is a germ or a seed planted in the solar plexus, which is just above the sacral plexus. And that germ is the oil, the Christ, which is born in Bethlehem, because the the solar plexus is otherwise known as Bethlehem, where the seed, where the Christ is born. And that seed, that oil, needs to return whence it came, in the midbrain. You see, as the oil ascends the spinal cord, the vibration of the oil of the Christ increases. And you see, first of all, the oil is differentiated in the pineal gland and the pituitary gland before it is sent down the spinal cord. And the pineal gland is the electric portion, and the pituitary gland is the magnetic portion. So the oil is differentiated, and it is brought down the spinal cord via the Pingala and the Ida nerves. These are what is otherwise known as the Kundalini and the Kundabhatha. So it arrives at the sacral plexus and awaits for the germinating of the seed once a month, 12 times a year. And if we are able to transmute that seed and cause it to rise, as it rises in the spinal cord, it eventually reaches the medulla oblongata and the pons and the midbrain, and it crosses the vagus nerve, otherwise known as the pneumogastric nerve. It's a nerve which descends from the brain area, from the pineal and pituitary glands, respectively, and it feeds the lungs and the stomach. It's a network of nerves, and this network of nerves is called the tree of life. And you see, the ancients knew that this seed that is born in Bethlehem once a month is the Christ, and that if one were to abstain from sex during that period, that oil and seed would be saved, and it would rise, and it would burst through the heart chakra, through the throat chakra, and eventually the oil would arrive with its higher vibration, because you see, at the bottom, the oil has a very low vibratory rate. Whereas with proper practices, meditation, breathing, good eating, and good peaceful behavior, one is able to raise that Christ, that oil, so that it crosses the vagus nerve at the top of the spinal column, the 33 vertebrae of the spinal column. You see, because the Christ is crucified at 33 years of age. When the oil arrives at the very, very top, there awaiting is the optic thalamus, an egg-shaped organ in the middle of the head. When it crosses this pneumogastric nerve, this is called the crucifixion. The oil is not killed and destroyed, but it is magnified 1,000-fold. And the oil then touches the optic thalamus, and for 2.5 days remains in a condition that is called dead, that is considered to be dead, and then reaches the pineal gland after 2.5 days and illuminates the optic thalamus and the pineal gland. The optic thalamus was known as the light of the world by the Egyptians and the Greeks because they knew their physiology and anatomy. And they knew that this precious oil, which descended from the claustrum, from the cerebrum, and was differentiated in the pineal and pituitary glands, and descended the spinal cord, they knew that it would ascend eventually, and that the enlightened portion of mankind were able to cause this Christ oil to ascend so that it would ascend to the optic thalamus and cause it to be lightened. What in turn happens is that millions of brain cells that were dormant are now awakened. And you see, there are practices and there are things that are very, very detrimental about this oil, or that are detrimental to this oil. For instance, overeating and alcohol and sex practiced at the wrong time. These destroy the seed, and this is what is known as eating from the tree of life. Because you see, the ancients knew that once the oil is depleted because of riotous living, the fleshly organism dies. Death results from using up all of the oil. You see, the oil that descends from the cerebrum is known otherwise as the manna from heaven. You see, because heaven means heaved up. And the head, the cranium, the dome which sits on top of the torso, that was known as the heavens, you see. And the heart area and the heart chakra was known as the Midgard, or the middle garden. Yeah, Working Class Hero, welcome.
Working Class Hero is something to
on
be.
American Freedom Radio. And it's great to be back. Today I'm going to be talking for the first hour about certain things, and then on the second hour I want to discuss some of the new things about astrotheology that also need to get out. Probably the most urgent and powerful knowledge that has been kept from humanity for thousands of years, and is very, very important, very powerful, deep things to share with listeners who are ready. And if you're around and listening, well, that would be because you are ready. I do research, and then I share that research, well connected, well researched, with humanity and the enlightened portion of humanity, because my information does not reach unconscious people. They turn it off after 5 minutes. In fact, they just cannot stand the information that I have. Some people can't handle the truth. They just can't handle it, and I know that. The truth movement is being infiltrated by a lot of creepy entities, people. And these creepy entities are sort of these types that have to get their information from unusual sources because they don't do any research themselves. So they have to empty their own bodies and be mediums for astral entities some of which are very, very dangerous. Now, these type of mediums, there's 1,000 of these mediums to one clairvoyant. A clairvoyant is one who has completed the process which I am going to explain in the next hour, and has the right to see and the right to know because they've earned it and they've arrived to the point of being able to see with the third eye and to know what it is they are saying, rather than to channel it from someone else who claims to know. And remember, there's a lot of entities out there that claim to be angels of light, that are workers of darkness. So people, protect yourselves, be careful. All the information out there that is out there needs to be filtered. And it needs to be filtered with your open, aware consciousness. And usually the instrument to gauge charlatanism as compared to truth will be your heart, not your opinions. Our opinions, I don't deal in opinions. Our opinions matter not in anything. In the world of reality, our opinions mean nothing. They don't carry any weight. And unfortunately, many people are burdened with opinions. Lose the opinions, folks. Lose them. And embrace the truth as it comes. Sometimes the truth is hard to bear.